Dear friends, welcome to another episode of The Informant Military. In today's video, we'll discuss President Biden's withdrawal from the presidential race and the likely entry of his vice president, Kamala Harris, into the competition against Donald Trump. What changes could occur in current conflicts with Kamala or Trump in the White House? If you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, click the subscription button and activate notifications to never miss an update. On Sunday, July 23rd, President Biden announced his withdrawal from the presidential race and endorsed his current Vice President Kamala Harris as his replacement to compete against Donald Trump. Her nomination as the Democratic candidate still requires official party approval, but is gaining strong support from influential figures. Specifically, regarding the current global conflicts, what could change with Trump or Kamala in the White House? Starting with the more straightforward scenario, if Kamala Harris wins the election, little is expected to change, as she closely follows President Biden's international policy. Regarding the Russian invasion of Ukraine, U.S. military support for Ukrainian defense will remain unchanged, and Washington will continue to lead a group of democracies against Putin's expansionist war. In the context of NATO, no significant changes are expected, with U.S. armed forces maintaining their usual level of presence in deployments and exercises. The same can be expected in the Middle East conflict, with the U.S. maintaining its current containment posture, diplomatically and militarily supporting Israel against Iranian aggressions, continuing defensive efforts in the Red Sea against attacks from Yemen's Houthis, but not attacking and also pressuring Israel not to attack directly aggressive countries like Lebanon, where Hezbollah is located, and especially Iran, which supports, arms, and finances all groups that attack Israel. Specifically regarding Israel's offensive efforts against Hamas in Gaza, the White House will likely maintain its current tone of criticism and dismay, pressuring Israel for a ceasefire as soon as possible, even before the release of hostages and the complete destruction of Hamas. In the Pacific, specifically in Taiwan and the South China Sea, everything will continue as before, with Kamala having repeatedly stated her support for Biden's statements regarding direct U.S. military support for Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion. In the South China Sea, Kamala also confirmed her support for strengthening the U.S. military alliance with the Philippines, the country most affected by Chinese expansionism in the region, with Beijing demanding possession of the entire sea, including the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. In North Korea, which is currently in a phase of close rapprochement with Russia, even signing an important defensive pact, no significant changes are expected, with dictator Kim Jong-un continuing his path of rapprochement with Russia. But what if Trump wins the election? What could change in these conflicts? Regarding the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Trump's stance is still a big unknown. His vice president, J.D. Vance, was the biggest opponent to approving the $60.8 billion military aid package for Ukraine as a senator, and has repeatedly stated that he wants to cut U.S. aid for Ukrainian defense. But Trump has not said anything concrete, limiting himself to repeating that he can end the war in 24 hours. Trump has always criticized U.S. aid for Ukrainian defense, but he has never explicitly stated that he will cut it, insisting only that the U.S. should not donate money and weapons but sell or at most lease them. In the debate with Biden, Trump even said that Putin's territorial demands are ridiculous. Therefore, it is very difficult to deduce what Trump's stance on Ukraine will be, with many analysts believing there could be some level of reduction in military aid and the celebration of more explicit agreements for the sale or leasing of military equipment, but few believe there will be a complete cut in U.S. aid for Ukraine. Regarding NATO, Trump will likely maintain the stance of his first term, demanding an increase in defense investments from alliance member countries, a task that will be greatly facilitated now, with only 9 of the 32 members investing less than 2% of GDP in defense. It is important to note that this pressure from Trump is very positive for European countries, which thus invest more in their own defense, increasing the alliance's operational capacity as a whole and reducing Europe's defensive dependence on the U.S. But in the Middle East, many believe the change will be radical. In his first term, Trump pressured Iran a lot, even ordering the attack that eliminated Iran's most influential general, Qasem Soleimani. Trump also withdrew the U.S. from the Iran nuclear deal, reapplying harsh and heavy sanctions against Tehran, and acted decisively to bring Israel closer to the Arab world through the Abraham Accords, which led Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and Morocco to recognize the State of Israel and establish full diplomatic relations. Therefore, if Trump returns to the White House, he will likely act strongly against Iran's nuclear program, continue working to bring Israel closer to the Arab world, probably this time with Saudi Arabia, a country that was already in the process of rapprochement with Israel. Above all, he will likely change the U.S. stance regarding Israel's aggressors. Currently, the U.S. maintains only a defensive posture, intercepting missiles and drones and, at most, destroying radars and launchers directly linked to these launches, attacks that do not directly affect the offensive capacity of groups that attack Israel, like Hezbollah and the Houthis. But Trump, based on what he did as president, like the April 2017 attack on Syria with 59 cruise missiles, will likely act more aggressively and offensively against these countries and groups. Regarding Gaza, Trump recently stated that he supports Israel's position of fighting at least until all hostages are released. Moving to the Pacific, Trump also recently declared that he will resume the trade war he waged against China in his first term, stating that if he returns to the White House, he will increase tariffs on some Chinese products by up to 100%. But regarding the defense of Taiwan, Trump was ambiguous, saying that he will only defend the island if the Taiwanese pay, a statement that makes no sense, as Taiwan pays billions of dollars annually for American weapons and ammunition. Therefore, in the commercial field, we will likely see the same Trump from the first term trying to protect American industry from excessively cheap Chinese products. But in the military field, there are still some doubts about how his stance will be in the face of an increasingly aggressive China in the region. In North Korea, it is believed there will not be a repeat of the rapprochement between Kim Jong-un and Trump during his first term. Trump met with Kim Jong-un 3 times, even stepping into North Korean territory. However, at that time, North Korea was heavily isolated, depending only on China's crumbs. But now, as I said earlier, North Korea is one of Russia's main allies, and therefore Kim Jong-un now has no incentive to distance himself from Russia and seek rapprochement with the U.S. Therefore, in North Korea, no significant changes are expected regarding what is already happening now. Stay tuned for more updates and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for the latest analyses and information on global geopolitical issues.